All right. Okay. So this is more of a question because I think this is still in development. However, Carrie Prejean Boller was kicked off of a governmental-based religious liberties panel for continually saying Christ is king. The problem we're getting into is that she was kicked off for antisemitism. The issue that we need to all kind of take a second and take a step back and recognize is that proclaiming Christ as king is how you become a Christian. Proclaiming that Christ is the Lord and Savior, that faith, that belief, that moving into yes, Christ is king is the way that you proclaim yourself as a Christian. So if we're not allowed to say Christ is king anymore because it's anti-Semitic, according to our government, and our government, there's 37 states that have anti-Semitism laws against speaking anti-Semitic phrases. Doesn't that make being a Christian illegal in those 37 states? If you're not allowed to say Christ is king because it's anti-Semitic, and in those 37 states you says you can't say anything anti-Semitic, you're no longer allowed to say Christ is king in 37 states. So you're no longer allowed to profess Christ as your king and your Lord in those states. I don't know if that's exactly where we're at, but I think that we should all have we should all stop what we're doing and be like, okay, hold on. What exactly happened? Because until they come out and fully clarify it, that's the statement that I think that we should all take away from this, is that everyone's religion is fine except for Christianity according to our government. Because, they didn't kick the Muslims off, they kicked off the Catholic Christian representative from the religious liberties panel for not saying the right thing. So our government rejected our First Amendment right, first of all, for Carrie Prejean to proclaim Christ as king, and then removed her from the panel because they deemed that verbiage anti-Semitic. So now saying Christ is king, so now saying Jesus is my Lord and Savior, that sort of thing, that is anti-Semitic, according to our government. So we need to kind of stop real quick and kind of figure out where we all stand on this, because the First Amendment's important. And so they denied her First Amendment rights, just like they denied everybody the right to speak out during COVID and during everything else. But specifically because they've deemed this anti-Semitic. So, and anti-Israel, which is, I don't think the same thing, but apparently we're blending them into the same thing. But that's kind of the big thing. So we need to start watching our verbiage. We need to start watching what our government is allowing us to say and what we're not allowing us to say. I would recommend if you guys you see this, forward this on. I'm going to make this one really short. Just forward this one on so we can start having this conversation, because this is a really important conversation for us to have. Because as of right now, it looks like we're setting legal precedent that saying Christ is king or Christ is Lord and Savior is anti-Semitic, and saying anti-Semitic things is illegal. Therefore, saying Christ is king is going to be illegal. Now, hopefully we all go, oh, no, that's not what it was. That's not, and we put laws in place to allow people. It's like, okay, great, fantastic. But as of right now, we need to start asking that question really, really loud. So forward this on, see what's going on. Let's try to get this one knocked out. Thanks for your time. Have a fantastic day.